This is a complicated diagram. Each of 15 private colleges is represented by a dot and an X on a vertical line. The X indicates the college's annual tuition in 2008. The dot above or below the same on the same dashed vertical line indicates the college annual income in 2008 from investments such as endowments. The base of the line indicates the number of students. So just to be clear, let's look at this line right here. This is the smallest college. It has the smallest number of students, only about maybe 3,000 or 3,500. It has a tuition down here, annual income from tuition, which is down here between 100 and 200 million, but then it has an investment income from up here between 600 and 700 million. So it's making much, much more from investments than from tuition. And then as we go across, we see very different patterns over here where the tuition income is much higher and the investment income is much lower. Question number 1 is going to ask us about, of the 15 colleges, the graph supports which of the following statements? Tuition income is positively correlated with student enrollment. So here we're just looking at the X's and what's going on as number of students goes up, what's happening with the X's? Well, we notice a general up to the right trend. It's not a perfect straight line, but it doesn't have to be. It definitely is a clear going up to the right trend, and that is a positive correlation. So number 1 is definitely correct. Number 2, investment income is negatively correlated with student enrollment. Okay, now we're looking at the dots. What's the pattern with the dots? Well, as a general rule, the dots start up here and then they kind of go off down to as we're moving to the right. And that is a pattern for a negative correlation. Higher on the left, lower on the right. And so that's the overall pattern, and that is also something that the graph supports. Now finally, all colleges with over 20,000 students. So let's find, here's 20,000 students right here. So there's one college at 20,000 students, so we won't look at that. But all colleges over 20,000 students have less than $50 million in investment income. So where's the $50 million line? That's this line right here. Less than $50 million in investments. Well, investment income is the dots, and most of the dots are below that line, but there's this one dot here clearly that is more than $500 million from this college that has more than 20,000 students. So we can't say all. All is not correct. So statement number 3 is not supported, but statements number 1 and 2 are clearly supported. Answer choice B. The diagram above, each of 15 private colleges is represented by one of those dashed vertical lines. The X is the tuition income, the dot is the investment income, and the base of the vertical line indicates the number of students at that college. And notice that this graph is this scale is in millions of dollars, and this is in thousands of students. So the college that is drawing the most investment income in 2008, so the highest dot by far is this dot. So we're talking about this college here. Takes in how much mean total income per student. Well, mean total income, we'd have to figure out the tuition plus investments. The tuition, it looks like tuition is about maybe 160 million. Investment appear to be about 650 million. Add those, we get about 810 million. How many students there? Appears to be maybe 3,000 or 3,500, let's say 3,500. And so if we want this, the average, we're going to have to do 810 million divided by 3,500. And when we do that on our calculator, we get something along these lines. We get a number around 230,000. So $230,000 per each student. And This is closest, of course, to answer choice E. In the diagram, each of 15 colleges is represented by a vertical line. The X indicates the annual income from tuition. The dot represents the annual income from investments. The base of the vertical dashed line indicates the number of students at the college. And notice that this horizontal scale is in thousands of students, the financial scale in millions of dollars. So this is a relatively straightforward question. If the tuition income at a college exceeds its investment income, then the college is said to be tuition driven. Now remember, tuition income, that's the X, and investment income, that's the dot. And so really we're asking, where are the X's higher than the dot? Now, you may get to this point and realize, well, wait, that's so simple. How could this question be about something so simple? Well, that's the point of graphs. Just as a picture is worth 1,000 words, graphs make an enormous amount of information readily available to us. So sometimes what seems like a complicated question is actually the easiest thing in the world. Just looking, where are the X's higher than the dots? Well, here we have an X higher than the dot. Here, 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 here. Not here, but then here and here. But then all these dots, these are higher than the X's, and then they get higher and higher and higher. So none of those, but I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 X's are higher than dots. Answer choice D. In the diagram above, each of 15 private colleges is represented by a vertical line. The X indicates the college's income from tuition, 2008. The dot represents the annual income from investments, also in 2008. And the base of the vertical dashed line indicates the number of students at that college in 2008. And notice that this horizontal scale is in thousands of students and the vertical scale is in millions of dollars, just to keep that straight. Okay, the college with the highest tuition income in 2008 has how much investment income? Well, this is just a very simple read off the graph. So the highest tuition income, in other words, the highest X. Well, the highest X is right here. So we're talking about that college right there along that line. And we want to know how much investment income does it have. So where does its dot fall? So the dot falls slightly below $200 million. Here's the dot right here. Slightly below 200 million. So I'd say about 190 million. And that is the answer. Answer choice A. In the diagram above, each of 15 private colleges is represented by a vertical line. The X indicates the college's annual income from tuition in 2008. The dot represents the college's annual income from investments in 2008. The base of the vertical dashed line, where it intersects the x-axis, indicates the number of students at that college. And notice that this scale is in thousands of students, this scale is in millions of dollars. For how many colleges shown is the investment income in 2008 more than double the same college's tuition income in 2008? All right, so in other words, in how many colleges is the height of the dot more than twice the height of the X? Well, certainly this first college, look at this one. The tuition income looks like it goes up to about 160 million. Double that, that would be about 320, and the dot is way, way above that. So clearly, this is one college in which investment income is more than double the tuition. What about the next one? So this has a tuition income, looks to be at 250 million. Double that would be 500. And so this dot falls just short of being twice. So that one doesn't work. Now this one, this appears to be about 280. Double that would be 50, would be 560. That would be somewhere up here. And again, this dot falls just short of that. So neither one of those work. And then we get into here. These dots are clearly, the X's are clearly more than halfway up to the dot. And so these are not going to work. None of these are going to work. And then the X's get higher than the dots. That's not going to work at all. So the only college that works is that first one. That is the only college for which the investment income is more than double the tuition income. So there is exactly one college that follows that pattern. Answer choice B. In the diagram above, Each of 15 private colleges is represented by a vertical line. The X indicates the college's annual income from tuition. The dot indicates the college's annual income from investments. And the base of the vertical line indicates the number of students at that college. And notice that the lower axis, the x-axis, is in thousands of students, and the y-axis is in millions of dollars. So this question asks, the college with the highest 2008 mean investment income per student enrolled generates how much annual tuition? So first of all, step one, we have to find the college with the highest 2008 mean investment income per student. So let's think about this. We don't have to figure out a bunch of different averages. We can be clever on this. We know that a fraction gets the biggest when the numerator is large and the denominator is small. So if we could find a college that was very high in investment income and very low in students, that would be our college. And in fact, the college all the way on the left fits the bill perfectly. This has the fewest students of any of the colleges and the highest investment income of any of the colleges. So we automatically know it must have the highest mean investment income for students. Biggest denominator, biggest numerator, and smallest denominator at the same time. So that's the college, and we want to know how much tuition, annual income in tuition does that generate? Well, where's the X on that college? The X is about 160 million. Answer choice A.